Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. The upcoming conversations are nothing more than the ridiculous opinions of a dropout and a guy dumb enough to be friends with him. Listen, have some fun, but don't ever do, believe, or promote anything they say. They're idiots.
Guys, hold up. You should know, this ain't for everybody. Welcome to Savagely Loud. What's happening, people? Welcome back to the show. I'm glad to be back with you. I'm glad you're back with me. I'm Cliff. I'm your host, and I'm joined today and always by my friend and co-host, Mikey. I get a breath in here now. How you doing today, Mikey?
I am doing great, man. It's a beautiful Monday today. It's a beautiful Monday. I got really no complaints. The weather is just pissing me off, but I mean, what else is new? It's nice, and then by the time we want to go outside and go frolfing, it's fucking freezing again. Every Saturday it turns to shit. Thursday you're out there in fucking shorts and a tank top, and by Sunday morning you're back in the parka. Back down to 30s, and it's like, this is great.
you gotta love it, guys. Hey, welcome to the show. We're just gonna peel apart society, see what fucked it up, see if we can't figure something out about it, and let's do the thing to the thing. Guys, if you want to help us out, follow us on social media. You can find us at Savagely Loud Podcast page on Instagram, where you'll find links to my personal page, Savagely Loud, and link to Mikey's page, Woldy2. On Instagram, you'll find us on Facebook under all the same shit. You'll find us on YouTube, Savagely Loud Podcast. And you can also email us in at savagelyloudpodcast@gmail.com with all your comments, questions, concerns, and recommendations and all that kind of good stuff. So without further ado, man, I gotta get into something real quick. Today, if you guys haven't noticed by now, I'm what they call not very smart. I can do things, but I'm really not very smart. Even if I accomplish them, I didn't do it swimmingly. But today I spent the entire day figuring out how to make a video intro for this very podcast. And it's coming along really, really well. Mm-hmm. Especially considering 3 days ago I didn't know how to make videos. I know how to record on my phone and yap some shit into that. But other than that, I didn't really know how to make videos. So I've been on YouTube all day. My brain has long since been on fire, extinguished, on fire again, and then burnt out today.
So all right, I'm going to clarify something. You are smart in your own way. You
always got to love it when they caveat it with, in your own way.
Everyone's smart in their own way. You're smart with your hands kind of way. And, I'm smart in the computer way more. And the thing with computers, man, dude, it's fucking mind numbing. After a few hours, it's like,
I can't even handle it. Like it's hard for me to handle being on a computer for an extended amount of time. Even when things are going well, I still don't know what I'm doing, but things are going well. And it's still like, and mind you, I taught myself how to use, let's go back a little bit. How about this? Let's go back to Inkscape 0.91. I taught myself how to use that. I taught myself how to use Corel Draw, which I thought was just the cat's ass. Just the bee's knees, man. Best thing since sliced cheese until then. And then I brought some designs when I started my first t-shirt company. I brought some designs to the local printer, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, do you have art? I'm like, yeah, I got the art for it. And he's like, what program do you use? I go, Corel. And he goes, God damn it. You're a Corel guy? Oh, man. When are you people going to learn? And I was like, what are you talking about? What else is there? And then he introduced me to Adobe. And I was like, but that's like $1,000 program, though.
Yeah.
But inevitably, if you're going to be the best, you got to use the best, the golden handcuffs. So I taught myself how to use Adobe Illustrator, and then Adobe Audition, and then Adobe Premiere Pro. And now I'm learning After Effects and Photoshop. I have such a surface level, barely there understanding of it. My wife is a fucking genius when it comes to Photoshop. She can make school buses into motorcycles and it looks totally like she can do anything on Photoshop. So every time I need to, like, I got a question about Photoshop or anything, like, is this something I do in Photoshop? I go, hey babe, is this something I'm supposed to do in Photoshop? And then she just runs me through it, much like you did last night. So I've been having the world's worst trouble trying to install After Effects on my computer. So it keeps giving me error codes and this and that. And I've been fucking with this thing for over a week, trying to get this thing figured out. So last night, I messaged Mikey. I go, hey, I got a question for you. A computering question, I believe I quoted it as.
Yes, you did.
And he goes, what you got? And I said, I keep getting this error code for, installing on a network drive, this and that. And he sends me back a 9-mile long prompt or whatever it might be, some code. You type this out and find these files, and then you'll be all right. So I'm like looking at this thing. I'm starting to feel old. I got I'm like moving my phone back and forth from my face, trying to type this out. I finally get it all typed out, and I was like, oh, I sent him a picture. It came up with a couple of files. I was like, I can't believe that came up with something. So I sent him a picture, and I go, what do you want? This is what it brings up. He goes, yeah, delete that shit. So I deleted all the files, and I literally looked up at my wife, and I was like, man, I hope this doesn't fuck up every other program in my fucking computer. I hit delete, and I was like, holy shit, this thing's installing. It's working. Yeah, yep. You definitely got the computer end of this thing down. Yeah.
And a lot of with computers, man, it's knowing how to look shit up. Because, like, I don't fucking have Adobe. I rarely used Adobe. But it's like, dude, you learn how to look shit up and then you find the answers. Like,
oh, yeah. YouTube is my absolute best friend, dude. I've started multiple different businesses off of YouTube as a high school dropout. YouTube is great. I've taught myself. I used to run a club called the Cynical Saints Social Club back in 2013 to 2016. It was a charity club. That's all we did. But there was a guy in that club that I won't name him, but he went to school for learning graphic design and all that stuff. He actually went through the schooling, and he came over to my apartment one day because he wanted to see, because he was astounded when he's like, who designs our logos and shit? I was like, oh, that's me, and he's like, what? So he's like, I thought you were a body guy, like a car guy. I was like, yeah, but I do that on the side. I mean, I can't afford to pay somebody to do it, so I got to learn how to do it. He's like, I got to come see how you do it. So he comes over to the apartment one day, and I start showing him how I'm doing things, and he's starting getting mad, like real mad, actual mad, like realistically mad. And I was like, dude, I was like, are you getting mad at me? Like, what am I doing to piss you off? He's like, no, it's not you, man. He's like, but I paid $85,000 fucking dollars to learn how to do this shit, and your dumbass taught you to do it at your fucking dining room table in a fucking 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. It's nuts, man. The amount of info that's out there on YouTube and just out there, like, it's nuts, man. Like, yeah, especially computer shit. Like, oh god.
And it's and I'm always so hesitant on the computer end of thing because I never know who to trust. Because you'll do 5 searches and get 5 answers for one question. Like, how is this happening?
Yeah,
it's all it's like a daily drag to me. Speaking of which, what do you got for us, Mikey, for your daily drag?
Right. So I don't know if this one's a drag. These people annoy me. They kind of piss me off at times, but motherfuckers that back into parking spots.
Cool guys always back in.
It's like, dude, especially when you see them like back in like absolute shit. And it's like, dude, really? Like, you can't do it, man. Just fucking park. Like,
yeah.
Why are you trying to back into a spot when it's going to take you 8 tries of backing into your spot? Like,
right.
Let me back in. Oh, hang on. I'm not going to make it. Let me go forward. Let me try it again. Oh, not going to make it. Let me go forward.
Well, it's like, and don't mind, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I back into my driveway, but if I'm pulling into the gas station, the mall or something, I just pull into the fucking spot. Like, I don't need to. Cool guys always back in. Like, I don't understand the purpose. Oh, I can get out easier. Well, if you can back into the spot, but you can't back out of the spot, I think you might have a disconnect in your fucking brain.
And it's not like backing out of my spot is really hard.
It happens the same direction.
And
the same angle.
It doesn't take really any longer either. It's like, I'm out. Like,
and I always
saved a whopping second.
I always give my friends shit to back in. I'm like, yeah, cool guys always back in, and I'll give them a bunch of shit, and then I'll blow holes in all of their excuses, and finally they always fall down. Well, if what happens if something happens here and somebody goes crazy, I could just fucking it's faster to just pull right out. Yeah, always got an answer for it. Why? Okay. You just want everybody to see the front of your truck. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. And all right, I'm sorry, but if you're running out to your car, guess what everyone else is fucking doing too. Like you ain't getting out of that parking lot.
Like I get motorcycles, like I get club life, like you back in so the cops can't see your fucking plate. I get that. But you got plates on the front too, stupid shit. Why are you backing in?
And especially at grocery stores. It's like, what the fuck are you doing backing in?
That's the worst. You're gonna need access to the back of your car.
Exactly. Like, you dumb dick. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You knuckle dragging goon. How many other labels can we find for people like that? Guys, speaking of labels, that's right. Seamless segue here. We're going to talk about them today because you know what? We live in a society that, well, honestly, I really don't know where we're at. I feel like we're in a transitional time where we still have some residual morons that are afraid of the labels. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, people have woken up. The labels don't really mean anything.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But we also in that see some greatness. We see some people standing up because they're not afraid of, the Karen next door, calling them whatever. But we're also seeing the negative side of it. The people that are so have such a lack of fear of the label and the connotations that go with it and everything, that they're going very extreme. They're going way to the other side. Like, I'm so afraid of not labels. I'm going to start fucking Sieg Heiling and fucking melting Jews and, all on the internet. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how I don't care about any. Going back to episode 1, I don't give a fuck about any label. I'm going to take them all.
Fucks given. Yeah, but dude, it's a real thing though. And like even me, like I wouldn't say I pride myself on it or I've prided myself on not really caring about the labels, but it's been easier for me. And I think this is an aspect that we should talk about with having to do with this situation is it's been easier for me to handle life not fearing the labels because I've always had the labels. Like, correct. Ever since I could remember, I had the labels. I was the fucking the white trash kid that came in all beat up. I was this kid. I was that kid. I was the Nazi. I've always had the labels. So in that part of my mind that doesn't mind providing some grace to society, I can understand why people would be somewhat fearful of the labels. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'd ask you, Mikey, have you ever in your life, because we've lived different lives and typically the label scare comes from your community, your adjacent community and your work atmosphere, your employment, So because we've spent so much of our lives in different ends of that whole spectrum, have you ever been in a situation in your life where you're like, I better fucking pull back before I get that label, even if it's a metaphorical thing, just because my neighbors, so-and-so's an alderman or whatever, or my boss might see this or will see this. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been through it with work. I've been through it here, especially, my neighbors are, ex-police. So, it's one of those, like, I'm cautious of how us in the house present ourselves, because it's like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that neighbor, and I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to draw attention to myself.
Right.
And especially with work too, it's like, it's one of those, in the corporate world, the labels, it's always a threat that's looming. It's one of those that, especially a few years ago, Like it was one of those like,
Yeah.
dude, you better like not say shit because you don't want to say something and it be taken the wrong way. It had nothing to
Right.
do with it, but I said he instead of she, and good God, like,
Well, and even during the COVID time, like we saw an
oh
explosion
God,
of forced
anti-vaxxer.
humility,
Mhm.
and during the COVID time. So, and which is a great topic because we hear the people like me, like like people like me because I fit that persona, right?
Mhm.
But there's people out there that'll say, you always have the freedom to say what the fuck you want, blah 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 blah. I think that's a narrow-sighted view of things.
Yes.
As much as I do sometimes say this kind of shit. Like
Mhm.
you got to go a little bit harder, to get the ears, But I think it's a very narrow-sighted view because, like, yes, you do have a choice, but what people like that say that kind of shit don't understand is typically the people. Now, I won't provide any grace here. Okay, let me start this out. I'm not going to provide any grace to the low end earners on this. Like if you're a Dunkin' Donuts cashier, and I don't want to hear how you're not supposed how I can't stand up to because I have to save my job. You can go fuck yourself. You can get another $12 an hour job by the thousands, all the way up and down the fucking main roads of any fucking city. Fuck you. But when we hear the bigger earners, the people that have built a living and a life on a above standard or above average paycheck.
Yeah.
This is when I really do believe that it comes into play because it's, you're oftentimes like I have friends of mine in my life that they've gone through this and they tell you like it is. It's just like, dude, I want to say the shit. I do. I want to.
Yeah.
But I can't find a job that pays me $250,000 doing what I do anywhere but like Honduras, and I'm not going to fucking Honduras.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to fuck this up because this is the difference between my family eating and maintaining the lifestyle I've built for us or not,
Oh
So
yeah, when you are not afraid of labels, then there is potential consequences that come with that. And like it's one of those like you have to outweigh it. Like, it's one of those like what is me saying this can be worth? Like
Right.
that potential is there. I mean, we were talking about that with friends of ours that had a podcast and they got doxxed because they were saying some shit. And now that's all fucked up for them.
None of which was untrue. I will stand up for them, and I know you are too. You would too.
Oh yeah.
But none of which, what they said was untrue. It was just unsavory to some people's ears.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's the unfortunate part that when you even going back to COVID, if you were like, yeah, this is all bullshit, guys. Like this vaccine is bullshit. And then you're an anti-vaxxer. Oh, you don't trust the science, all this and that. And you became kind of that outcast in society.
Yeah.
And, and it's one of those, like, it wasn't untrue.
Yeah.
I mean, you have every right to have question things.
Absolutely. Well, and you know what I hated about it is I think is in the COVID era, that's when we really, really started seeing the strength of blanket statements.
Yes.
Like now you could just say somebody's racist and they're shut down. Like they don't like French fries and they're shut down. Like, oh, you're an anti-fryist. That's what, I mean, you would like, if you, and like, I got it. Like people would tell me you're anti-vax. No, I'm anti this one. Just because, I like Chips Ahoy, but if I don't like fucking, Sausalito cookies, it doesn't mean I don't like all cookies. I like some cookies. I don't like all the cookies. I mean, I'm fat as fuck, so I kind of like all the cookies, but, but it's an easy, palatable metaphor for normal people. But if or the pies, like there's some pie out there I really don't give a shit about. But there's some pie out there that I will swim in naked. Like
I get
that one out of your head.
It was nuts how quickly that took off, and those blanket statements were like, oh, and you're just chastised. And I mean, in some places of work, like if you got that label, you were out. Like there was no questions asked. You were out.
Well, and it was so many labels getting thrown around, and people like me were confused. And for this reason, I've printed out some of these we can read the definitions of. So because during the time of the COVID, it was like every ist on the list. Like anything you did, you were now a new ist. Mm-hmm. The biggest one was racist, which let's and every definition I'm going to read a few definitions here. Every definition I'm reading right now comes from dictionary.com. So it says racist is a person who believes in racism, the doctrine that one's own racial group is superior or particular racial group is inferior to the others. Now, as we read these, because these were making major headlines all over the fucking place. I think we would talk a little bit about them. This whole racist thing.
Oh God, that one drives me nuts. That you're a racist, like that term being thrown out like it is, it drives me absolutely insane.
Oh yeah. Well, it's lost all its meaning.
Correct.
Nobody knows what it means anymore.
No. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I called you white. You're a racist. What the fuck do you mean? You are like,
right? Yeah.
What is that? I'm not saying that you suck as a race or anything. I'm just saying, like, dude, you're Asian. Sorry, like, you are.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be observant or you're racist. I mean, it's absurd, and people are just attaching to that term racist to just like anything. Mm-hmm. They'd lose an argument about their own gender, and they'd tell you that you're a filthy racist, and all of a sudden you're shut down. Or let's go to the next really big one that became a thing during that time. Fascist.
Oh God, everywhere
fascist.
That term was.
Who loves saying fascist? You fascist pig. You fascist scum. Stop it, you fascist motherfucker.
And I bet if you asked them what that meant, nobody that said
nobody
that.
knows.
Yeah, correct.
Nobody knows.
It lost all meanings. It was just a term to say to somebody. Like now.
So fascism. We'll go to the ism.
Yes, let's see.
According to dictionary.com, is a sometimes initial capital letter. A government system led by a dictator having complete power, forcibly suppressing opposition and criticism, regimenting all industry, commerce, etc., and emphasizing an aggressive nationalism and often racism. Sometimes initial capital letter. Number 2, the philosophy, principles, or methods of fascism. Now, I really think that we've come to a place in our world where, I mean, that was given as a definition for fascism. The philosophy, principles, or methods of fascism.
What?
Yeah, that's not explaining what fascism is, but dictionary.com thinks it is. And then the third one, a political movement that employs the principles and methods of fascism, especially the one established by Mussolini in Italy, 1922 to 1943.
Okay, so that was what?
Yeah, so we still don't really know what fascism is, given the dictionary determination. Nope. And I find it really weird that everything is seemingly so vague in this dictionary.com.
Uh-huh. I really like the one that it's a philosophy around fascism.
Yeah. Well, it's
okay. What's a desk? It's a thing that's a desk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and my thing is like, okay, so let me devil's advocate this, because I know somebody will come up into the comments about it. They could say the government system led by a dictator having complete power, forcibly suppressing opposition and criticism, regimenting all industry, commerce, etc., and emphasizing an aggressive nationalism and often racism. They could argue that that's a detailed description, but I would argue that it's not. I would argue that it's fluff. I would argue that but how do they do that? What do you mean they do that? Because when I come over to this page.
Oh, is it nationalist?
No, it's communist.
Oh, that's a good one that was thrown around too.
Communism, you fucking commie bastard. Mm-hmm. A theory or system of social organization based on the holding of all property in common, actual ownership being ascribed to the community as a whole or to the state. First and foremost, that is wrong right there. We have never, ever seen communism operate by allowing the people to have the fucking control of things.
No.
They don't have the owner. Yeah, that's how communism works. It's really weird that the very first fucking definition in dictionary.com is fucking wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just fucking flat out wrong. Like, communism is not about the people themselves owning anything. It's about the state having all the power, all the shit, and then telling you what you're allowed to have based on your class.
Correct.
So the number 2, let's go for communism. Number 2, a system of social organization. I love how they call it social organization. Not tyranny, not oppression, not societal mass oppression, none of that. It's just a social organization. A system of social organization in which all economic and social activity is controlled by a totalitarian state dominated by a single and self-perpetuating political party. Let's erase the first one and put the second one as the only definition for this.
Yes.
The second definition worked.
Yeah. And 2B would be the state tells you what to do, what you can and can't do.
Well, and I like how they throw this one in there. Number 3 is the principles and practices of the Communist Party. But number 4 is a little bit of I feel like they slighted some people. They slid one in on some motherfuckers. Communalism, they're trying to say is communism. And communalism is really more closely related to socialism.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're trying to fluff it again. They're trying to fluff the bad shit again.
They're trying to bring socialism concepts into communism, which I guess it's loosely based upon, but like very loosely.
But now, since it comes up, socialism, according to dictionary.com, a theory or system of social organization that advocates the ownership and control of the means of production and distribution, capital, land, etc., by the community as a whole, usually through a centralized government. How in the motherfuck does the community as a whole own anything if the fucking centralized government has it?
That needed to be in communism and leave the rest in socialism.
God, I mean, you can't. How in the? What do you mean? We own everything through the government.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is the government owns everything, and they tell us nicely that we own part of it. Until we go to claim ownership, until we want to ride that we supposedly own at that amusement park that we supposedly own, until we want to ride that bitch for free, everything's hunky-dory.
Yep.
So number 2 on the socialism, procedure or practice in accordance with this theory. That's a great one. With this theory. They actually wrote with this theory. They're just read up above. You'll find it. You'll figure it out. Now, number 3 is an interesting one. In Marxist theory, the stage following capitalism in the transition of a society to communism, characterized by the imperfect, wrong emphasis, the imperfect implementation of collectivist principles. Now, let's talk about that one.
Ooh, that's a loaded one.
Because that is 100% on point in my brain.
Correct. Oh, yeah.
Because that's what socialism is. Socialism is baby stepping into communism. That's what that fucking is.
And I like how they call it Marxism. I love how they called in the Marx because that's hey man, that's the motherfucker that communism is, and all these people wanting socialism here, trying to bring it in. That's what they go off of. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, and I
love the way they brought that in Marxist theory.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it. Well, it's not in Marxist theory. It's in reality. That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
But I'm loving going through this shit because we've got so many things that we've all been called. And since we just brought up Marxism, The reason we're going through all these is because I talk to a lot of fucking people, and not a lot of them know what all of these are. In fact, most people are confused as shit when they start hearing all these terms thrown around. So Marxism, since it comes up, number one, according to dictionary.com, the system of economic and political thought developed by Karl Marx, along with Friedrich Engels, especially the doctrine that the state throughout history has been a device for the exploitation of the masses by the dominant class. That class struggle has been the main agency of historical change, and that capitalist system, containing from the first of the seeds of its own decay, will inevitably, after the period of dictatorship of the proletariat, be superseded by a socialist order in classless society. So what that is saying in my very kindergarten brain is basically Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels believed that a capitalist society would inevitably collapse. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's stop right there and let's take that apart a little bit. Because you know what, honestly, I'm a capitalist. I believe that,
for sure.
But capitalist is the only method of living that allows you to work out of your birth class, so to speak. Okay. Now, with that comes problems, obviously greed and power and all that kind of things. Mm-hmm. But in America, capitalism worked really well for a long, long time. But now what we're seeing, this isn't to say it's a new thing, but now what we're seeing more than ever is people that walk through the door of success are starting to close it behind them. Mm-hmm. So, like when the Waltons would make it big, and they'd get a big, they get their whole Walmart franchise all up and running and everything. They used to not close the door for the guy that wants to start Target.
Yes.
But now every time somebody starts something and they get it to a point where it can lobby, let's call it what it is, where it can lobby, mm-hmm. all of a sudden you're not allowed, other people aren't allowed to do things. And I'll give you an example. So I dated a girl once that was very good friends with the owners of a local tattoo shop.
Okay.
And when they started their tattoo company, they had some friends in the lawmaking sector of that city. Well, they had their friends make a law that nobody could open a tattoo parlor within 25 miles of theirs. Their tattoo parlor is 8 miles from the naval base. So what do you think that did?
That was the only place to get it.
That was the only fucking place for everybody at a giant naval base to get tattooed. And they locked it down. Instead of saying, hey, over 100,000 people come through this base every year, there's enough for everybody? No, there's only enough for me. Mm-hmm. Fuck all of you guys. That's the capitalism that we're seeing nowadays. So when I see people get really mad at capitalism and capitalists, I really don't get mad. Like I really do provide some grace and some understanding, because you know what? It's keeping us all down at this point. Mm-hmm. If you ain't on top, you're on bottom. Yeah. And that's they've made it.
Oh, yeah. And I would say not so much shame on the people that closed the doors behind them. I would say shame on obviously, I'm going to say the fucking lawmakers, the people that have power over the city and all this stuff that let the shit happen because they want to fill their pocketbooks.
Yeah,
it's that greed that allowed it. I mean, that's why there's anti-monopoly laws all over the place. Like it's not supposed to happen.
I don't know. I guess it's hard for me to wrap my head around the notion of scarcity. Like there's just
oh yeah.
Like, I mean, like, dude, I wish I got paid just a single dollar for every mega fucking millionaire that I hear every single day say, I'm just like you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? You're just like us. with your $85 million car collection while your fucking employees are making $12 an hour.
Exactly.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking
What did
radical.
you pull in last year? Yeah. What did your entire payroll pull in?
No,
Okay,
I totally get making a lot of money when you've put in the work. We've owned companies, we actually own them together now, or we're working on it. But we've owned companies separately, and we understand that, well, where the fuck, if you want all the money, like, as an employee, well, where the fuck were you when the place didn't have any money and I had to fucking pay you out of my pocket? I had to I was the one going home without a paycheck. I was the one who worked a year with never, not taking a dime, I get making the money.
Yes.
I just, on a moral level, like, it feels fucked up to me. And this could all change. I will say this out loud. This could all change the day I become a millionaire. I might just tell everybody to go fuck themselves. But I feel like it's morally fucked up when you're driving, any one of dozens of $1 million cars to your building every day while people are barely eating. Like, I mean, and that's not to say you're paying them cheap. Even if you're paying them well, the surrounding world is fucking inundating them with costs that that is not going up with the inflation and with the price and the rise in prices, and so it just feels like it would be morally fucked up to me. I feel like I feel really like I don't feel like I would be the guy that, like, I'm gonna drive this $3.5 million fucking car to the my this Lamborghini to the shop every day, and it'll show all the $10 an hour guys that you can do it too.
Yeah,
but it's gonna show them you can't do it here.
That's where all the extra money's going from. That's why you can't get a raise, because I had to pay my car insurance this month. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on that same note. Like, me as a person, like, you see these CEOs and all these higher ups getting fucking like, oh yeah, what'd you bake out this year? Oh, I cashed in my stocks and I got 30 million. And that was my bonus. Like, what the fuck? How about you take 10 of that and give everyone else a bonus? Like,
yeah. Well, and that's, this, I mean, I get in arguments all this time because I do sit the fence. Like, I ride the fence on this topic, because I don't think you should be thrown. You should have a bunch of shade thrown at you because you earn a lot of money.
Correct.
It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of heartache and blood and sweat and tears to get there. I'm only saying, for me personally, I feel that I would feel fucked up if I had $100 million worth of cars and a bunch of $12 an hour fucking employees. I feel like I would feel fucked up. And I also did clarify, that might change. I mean, I'm already like, fuck the world anyway. I mean, I've been this way my whole life. I guess, throwing me a bunch of money might expedite that process. But I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand it.
And I would say that, okay, if I pull up to the shop in a $3 million car, like, fine. My issue personally would be if I am banking out that year with $6 million while everyone else is making $10 an hour. Like, that's where because I might have earned that $3 million before I had the 10 employees that, whatever. Again, it could all change. We could make it, both of us, and be like, yep, fuck it.
Now, let's have a little fun, because you know how we do this here. Let's go to the other side of this. Let's say you're the CEO of Dunkin' Donuts, and you've got a lot of fucking people making $12 an hour slinging that coffee. Are they really worth more than $12 an hour, though?
No.
I mean, you got to be honest with yourself, too. Like, they're not. You get a real fucking skill, and you might earn some money.
And that's all franchised out. So it's like, hey, man, that's on you. That's on the fucking franchisee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
on
on
them. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Like, hey, man, they just pay me $50,000 a year.
Well, it's
on them.
It's like the McDonald's in fucking Lindenhurst, Illinois. Dude, back 10 years ago, whoever owned it, maybe a little bit more than 10 years ago, 2015-ish, 2016-ish, that guy packed that McDonald's full of fucking short, hot white girls.
Yep.
That was the only fucking people that worked at McDonald's in Lindenhurst was fucking short smoke shows, little white girls.
Which one? Where?
And then you can tell, like, it's either the DEI police came in or fucking somebody else bought it, because then next thing you know, there was a bunch of fucking wastoids that couldn't do their fucking job. Like, I'm not saying them cute little white girls could do their job either, but at least they were something to look at. You know what I mean? Like now I've got business. Fucking Jared, fucking 350-pound ass trying to waddle around behind a counter, slipping on greasy fries on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, if you're running a company, like, dude, that's a lot of fucking work, and you should be paid accordingly. I mean, I gotta say that, because you know, if you are a CEO of a major corporation, like, dude, that's a lot of fucking pressure on you. Like, that company makes or breaks, and it's your name on the line.
Yeah. So let's circle back. I got a couple more couple more definitions I want to get through here. Because I've been called these. I mean, there was days where the sun didn't shine unless I heard one of these. Let's go with one of my personal favorites, misogynist.
Ooh,
I love misogynist. Oh, I'm called misogynist all the time, and a lot of people don't know what misogynist means.
No. According
to dictionary.com, it has a very, very short definition. It is strictly described as a noun, as in woman hater. So misogynist is woman hating. Now, I did look up what man hating would be called. Turns out, shockingly enough, I know, sit down and buckle up because you're not going to believe this, but there is not a word for that, for being a man hater. I call them dykes, but that's just me. The closest thing is chauvinist, which means it's a noun and is a person who believes one gender is superior. That's the closest thing you can get to man hater. And as we know,
that's only
never has a woman ever been called a chauvinist.
No, that's a man thing.
You chauvinist pig has never been muttered to a woman ever.
No.
So I love how this is all one-sided. Much like this.
Mansplaining it to me.
Yeah, let me mansplain you, sexist, because you're going to notice something fun. Sexist, adjective, relating to, involving, or fostering sexism or attitudes and behavior towards someone based on the person's gender. A sexist remark, sexist advertising, relating to discrimination or devaluation based on a person's sex or gender, especially such discrimination as directed against women. A sexist work culture contributes to restricted job opportunities for women. Reflecting or exhibiting ingrained or institutionalized prejudice against...
I got this one. Men.
Nope, wrong again. Women. Shocking, I know. Reflecting or exhibiting hatred, dislike, or mistrust of women, also known as misogynistic.
So that's three terms, all mean the same thing.
All mean the same thing.
Directed at one thing.
One gender.
Yep.
It's almost weird that we can't seem to find a way to get along when there's a lot of fucking words that describe how other people receive hate, and there's zero words to describe how we receive hate because, well, the honest to God's truth is we're told we don't get any.
We can't.
Yeah,
we're privileged, so we have no leg to stand on.
Yeah.
That's another label that's been thrown around a lot lately.
You're going to turn me into a nihilist.
Oh, God.
Nihilist basically is everybody under 32 years old. They just don't think that the fucking world is going anywhere. They don't think that doing anything is important or necessary. You know, I'm not saying, I'm generalizing. Easy, relax. Don't come at me with that shit. But that is the age demographic that is mostly self-described nihilists, is 32 and younger. Yeah, total rejection of established laws and institution, anarchy, terrorism, or other revolutionary activity. total and absolute destructiveness, especially towards the world at large and including oneself. The power-mad nihilism that marked Hitler's last years. Philosophy, an extreme form of skepticism, the denial of all real existence or the possibility of all objective basis for truth. Nothingness or non-existence. That is really what nihilism is. Mm-hmm. Nihilism has nothing to do with you wanting to take on at least as far as I've ever known it. You're not taking on you don't want to blow up the fucking world. All the nihilists that I've ever dealt with, they just don't feel like anything is important, so they don't need to do anything because nothing's going to matter because you're 2 generations away from being forgotten. Mm-hmm. You know, and that is the truth. You're 2 generations away from being forgotten. But yeah, we can stop with the things here or with the definitions I wanted to get through. Oh, bigot. Let's get a bigot.
Oh, bigots. That one's a loosely based term too.
Oh yeah. A person who is intolerant or hateful toward people whose race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, etc. is different from the person's own. Now, I will say that I actually agree with that definition because they didn't fucking pigeonhole it into another
specific thing.
You can't be a white guy and feel this way, mm-hmm. like, or, you know, whatever. So, but it seems like so much of the world is going to shit just because of the words that we just read, like the definitions we just read. So many of the people in these countries, our country, USA, Canada, Mexico, mm-hmm. Germany, France, England, Scotland, all of these people spent decades not saying anything because these are the labels that they would get. And now we're in a society where nobody cares about those labels, so they're saying all of it, and now it kind of has seemed to flip-flop. Like now
lost all its meaning because it got thrown around way too much. It's one of those, it's like if you're calling everyone a racist, at some point people are going to be like, okay, so everyone is like
well, and the racist thing is such a it's such a thing for me because if you call people tribalists, nobody gives a shit. Nationalists, it's starting to get a weird connotation because it sounds icky, like it mm-hmm. sounds like that's, I don't know about that. But racist,
it's a little bit too proud.
Yeah. Racist is the same thing as tribalists. I only hang out with my tribe. You can go fuck yourself, and that's okay. But if I only hang out with my color, and all of a sudden it's a problem.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's just weird how people have these ghost areas where they can draw these lines that they come in and they fade away, at mm-hmm. wherever's convenient. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to me, the racism, the racist part is the inferiority that's supposed to come along with that. Just because I'm saying, hey, then this section of town is all black. I'm not saying that like our place is better because it's all black. It's just one of those that's like, dude, I'm just saying it's all black, dude. Like,
yeah, well,
I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't have to have a connotation put to it.
Correct.
We all know the truth about black areas. Let's be honest.
Well,
I've never seen a fucking black area I felt safe in. I'll be honest with you. I just haven't. Even when I'm with my friends that live there, I'm just not feeling good about things.
Yeah. Hey, man, I probably feel the same way about a trailer park, going into Hicksville. That's one.
Dude, let me tell you about some trailer parks, man. My first bedroom was in a hollowed out trailer in a fucking trailer park. I'll tell you what. And it's a fact. Timberlake Park, Antioch, Illinois. Mm-hmm. That one was okay, but I've since been in some fucking trailer parks in Tennessee and in Kenosha.
Yeah.
And in Park City. I happen to live near one that is a gigantic trailer community, and it is 100% packed. Side to side, top to bottom, front to back of fucking scumbags.
Yep.
Just fucking... If you need crime to happen, that's where you go to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a sitcom I watch and, they're like, it's an explosion and they're a trailer park and you're like, oh yeah, Mr. Floyd's trailer blew up again. He's cooking that meth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfucking real. Like, I mean, and to think it's just like, why would you want to live this way? Like, I would be afraid to be like, I guess growing up as the white trash kid, like I always had the labels, but I look back and I'm like, dude, like I had all the labels that most of you motherfuckers have now. And how do you feel like that's okay? Like to be 40 something years old and you don't mow your grass but once a month, or you never wash your car. Right. Fucking tires are half flat all the time. Like you just have no standards at all.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it. Like, yeah.
So
I mean, it's nothing against the black community, but hey, man, it is what it is. And same with some white communities and same with some brown communities. Like,
oh yeah, and some yellow communities too. Go to fucking Chinatown and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Like we all got our issues. Like there's just you're liable to find different issues in different communities. Like,
yes,
I'm sorry, dude. I'm gonna say it out loud. If you go to a black community, you're probably gonna get mugged and beaten and robbed. If you go to a white community, you better fucking lock up your kids because we're probably gonna try to fuck them. Like it just seems to be a a heavily white thing where we want to fuck little kids. Like it's I don't know what it is. But that's a us thing. And the Middle Easterners, they like that shit too. But we at least have the culture that says it's wrong. Like they grow up in a culture that doesn't really matter. Our culture is like, that's the number one thing. In fact, that might be the only thing that we've ever agreed on as an American society is we don't fuck kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
here we are.
There's still a lot of people that do it, so
right. Yeah, well, you don't want to exclude them and hurt their feelings, their little pedophile feelings. You gotta bring them to the birthday party with all the kids. No, yeah, invite him to the birthday party. Don't tell anybody he's here.
Correct. Yeah.
He ain't leaving.
yeah. Don't worry about it. He's gonna be 6 feet by the time this party's over.
So. How do we unfuck the situation? How does the world become a better place based on labels? Do we give a fuck all the way? Do we give a fuck none of the way? Do we a hybrid sense of give a fuck?
I think it's got to be hybrid, and I think we're on the right track. I mean, it's one of those that the definitions, as you saw and read, like the definitions don't even mean shit anymore. So that label starts to mean shit. Right. And like, you don't want to be proud to have the labels, which is some of those like zero fucks given people that just, I'm going to wear them all. And now I'm going to fuck my life up because I want them all. And like, don't embrace it, but like, don't be scared of it because it's starting to lose meaning,
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, is I think that one of my things that I believe about these labels is that they scare people. Oh, and the reason they scare people is because most of them are fucking true. We're going to be honest here. Everybody's got a little racism in themselves.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Every black dude listening to this don't like somebody white. And at some point in their life didn't like them because they were white. Didn't trust them because they were white. Didn't, something. Mm-hmm. Same with black people, like, I can see the crime statistics. I don't trust you. Like, Is that racism or is that just observant?
I don't think that's racism, though. You're not saying that.
You're not doing it because you're black. Your community just has a predilection towards it.
Yes. And I mean, I don't think you're in my mind, it's not saying like, yeah, you people are, you deserve to be on bottom of because of your color. Like, to me, that is the part that makes it true racism. Like,
yeah, if you say you're a criminal because you have black skin, yeah, that's fucking racism. Yeah. But if you say a lot of black skin are criminals, it's just fact. It just
It's
same with the white and the pedo thing, Yeah. There's a lot of white dudes on the sex offender registry. A lot of fucking white dudes, more than anybody else. I can tell you that.
Oh yes. I mean, it's a generalization, but generalizations are pretty true. They're generalizations for a reason.
Stereotypes are true. Yep. And nobody wants to admit that stereotypes are true, but stereotypes are fucking true. That's why everybody knows them.
That's why it's a stereotype. Like,
yeah. It's like, yeah, oh my God, like, holy shit. Yeah, like, that's why people get shocked when they see a white guy without his dick and a kid, or they see a black dude with a dad. And, like,
I mean, that's the same concept of like, yeah, all right, cops pull over fucking fast cars.
yeah.
Because guess what? Stereotypes are they're going to be speeding at times. Like,
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's a stereotype of fast cars and people who drive them because guess what? You got a fast car and you're going to go fast in that fast car.
Why would you have gotten a fast car if you didn't like to go fast,
Exactly.
I didn't see you buy your Pagani Zonda and then have a fucking Briggs and Stratton swapped in. Fucking 18 horsepower and fucking lawnmower motor.
I bought this Lambo to go 45. Like, no.
So basically what we need to do is we need to not fear the labels, but we need to not be so careless as to wear them all with a badge of honor. Is that what you would say?
Yeah. I would say, not be scared of them so much, but don't go out searching for that label. Like, don't wear it, like you said, a badge of honor. Don't embrace all the labels for fuck's sake. But like, yeah.
Well,
don't be scared of them so much.
Another good point to reiterate is the importance that these labels are losing their weight, their gravity.
Correct.
Now that, really quickly here, that could go wrong. That could be good. It could be good because if everybody's racist, nobody's racist. If everybody's a bigot, nobody's a bigot. If everybody's special, nobody's special. That kind of principle could be good there. That could also lead into a negative society. Like, where the fuck do you go from here? Because we're not just all going to get along because people don't like to get along.
Oh, yeah. No.
So, what's next? Does the government have to step in? Because now instead of, vocal violence or verbal violence or verbal abuse, it's now just moving straight to physical all the time,
I don't know if that's going to happen. When I mean it's losing its meaning, it's because it's being thrown around so damn willy-nilly.
Yeah.
With no reasoning behind it.
Did you see the latest? The diets. There's a gaggle of fat black women the other day I saw on Instagram talking about how diets are racist against black women. Like, what the fuck, man? Now you can be racist against a fucking race and a gender at the same time.
Yes, I don't get it. Like, I mean, it's something as stupid as saying, like, tests in school, they're racist. Like, what?
Like that one politician, black kids don't know how to run computers.
Yeah, I remember who said that. That was Biden. Black kids, poor kids learn as good as white kids.
Yeah, poor kids are every bit as smart as white kids.
Yeah. I mean, okay, maybe that was a little bit racist. Like, but it's one of those, like, dude, how can something that is inanimate, like a fucking test, be racist? Like,
yeah,
no, the test has no meaning or feelings or emotions behind it. It's a fucking object. Like, yeah. We're all
answering the same question.
Yes, exactly. A stop sign that has no purpose behind it other than making cars stop at an intersection. Like,
yeah, right. So, guys, for everybody listening, if you want to improve your life and you want to improve the world, start speaking up, start standing up. Speak for what you believe in, or at least support those that do speak for what you believe in. Don't be so afraid of the labels. The labels don't mean anything anymore. Nobody's paying any attention to the labels. And the people that do pay attention to the labels, you need to not pay attention to. I think that's very fair to say.
Yes.
If you've got somebody standing in front of you that is concerned about all the labels, you need to not concern yourself with that person.
Because that person's crazy.
So... Before we get to our uplifting, hopelessly human segment, check out our Instagram page. You guys can follow us on Instagram, Savagely Loud Podcast. You'll find links to my page, Savagely Loud, and Mikey's page, Woldy2, on that page. You can find us on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube, Savagely Loud Podcast. You can email us in at savagelylloudpodcast@gmail.com. A couple of quick announcements here. Let's do the art real quick behind me. If you're listening, I'm doing the arms behind me thing, pointing behind me. Some progress has been made in the art for the backdrop, so that's kind of cool, but it looks kind of weird because it's got some really weird edges and that aren't. Yeah, it's not finished. It's really loud. God.
It's gonna take a while, man. Hey, Perfection takes time.
Next on the announcement list, we do own Savagely Loud, or SavagelyLoud.com. We own that now. That's ours. So we haven't done shit with it, but we are going to be doing some shit with it. We just bought it. We just got a hold of it. And we're going to be also in the future, very near future, we're going to be switching from Savagely Loud Podcast at gmail.com to Savagely Loud at SavagelyLoud.com. So we'll get that done soon. Or Savagely Loud something on.com. Mikey will have an email address there. I'll have an email address there. So my wife will probably have one as well because, she's half my brain. So, and the person that runs all the money for us. So right now. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Let's bring this thing back up. Let's get our hearts all warmed up again with Mikey's segment called Hopelessly Human that starts a little bit like.
People can be really rough. They can be quite tough. They can get in the way, but at the end of the day, some aren't only stupid, some are hopelessly human.
Some surely are hopelessly human. So what do you got for us on this one, Mikey?
All right. So this one comes from last week. It's out of Conveyors, Georgia. And this is about a 13-year-old who he's fucking amazing, man. So he's 13 years old. He's been accepted to 27 colleges.
Damn.
7 of them are full rides.
Wow.
And so, I mean, he's just a fucking brilliant kid. He became a published author at 4. And he's 13 and he's currently an intern at the DA's office. Like, it's just fucking amazing. And like, I mean, reading this stuff, like, he just seems like a fucking down-to-earth kid. Like, dude, I play Go Fish with my brothers. Like, I love, I'm the firstborn. I want to do something with my life, and he's fucking doing it, man.
That's awesome. I love seeing the young ones.
Keep an eye on this kid. He's going somewhere.
What's his name?
Joshua Sudeth II.
Why not just put fucking Junior? I mean, what the fuck? I'm the third generation. We get the third. I'm the third. My dad was Junior, and my my grandfather was just normal. He was just Clifford Moore.
Yep.
It's not the second, fucking assholes.
But yeah, man, this kid's amazing, man. I gotta say, and keep an eye on this.
That is really awesome to hear that hear young people, especially young people that are really, really got a grip on some things, and they're heading in a really positive direction.
Yeah.
Well, and before we close, guys, you'll notice that Mikey sounded a lot better this episode.
Just a little bit.
He got a whole gaggle of new good equipment, and I haven't heard not one boing, boing, boing from the springs. Nope. I haven't heard a crackle. I haven't heard a squeak. It's been amazing. Like I'm in an elevator or
in the bathroom with the fan turning, the fan going.
So take a second and just throw out into the ether, into the air, a congrats, Mikey, on all your new equipment and sounding like a real podcaster.
Thank you. It's good to sound real.
All right, guys, that's what we got for you. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you tuning in, downloading. We appreciate you liking and interacting with us. We appreciate you, the messages. We appreciate everything. So keep it going, keep it rolling, keep helping us out, and we'll keep saying everything you want us to say as long as it's, aligned with our core values.
Yeah.
Later, guys. You know what? I gotta start doing this. Mike, you got anything else to add?
I do not, man. Fuck the labels. Don't be so scared of them. Don't go embracing them. Don't park backwards, man. Don't back into your parking spot like a dickhead. And yeah.
And always floss after eating spinach.